Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Good evening, happy Friday ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All for United. I'm joined today by two regulars, Stu, who you'll know very well, Bainesy, who you know very well, and Steph, who is an AFU debutant today. Thank you very much for joining us, Steph. Lots to go through. I mean, considering we've had 0 games this week, including tomorrow, there's so much that's happening behind the scenes. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, COVID again, that frustration that we keep having over the last 2 years almost now, and here we are again, perhaps lockdown number 4 for us at least, and what a crazy situation. Get your comments in, get liking the video, make sure you subscribed. Brendan here. COVID is starting to piss me off. Now, to be honest with you, mate, it was starting to piss me off a long time ago, but I feel your pain. Andrew, evening. Oh, hello, buddy. Good to see you, mate. And John, evening all, everyone. And welcome, Steph, fellow debutant this week. Yeah, we've had lots of debutants this week, so no pressure. Stu, let's talk about the COVID situation first and foremost. It does seem to be a common theme on everybody's lips at the moment, obviously, rightly so. But it's obviously affecting football, the 72 clubs and the Premier League again. But what are your thoughts on it currently?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think everybody has got their own viewpoints on COVID. Everybody's got their own ideas as to what's the right measures to put into place. I don't really think everyone agrees. And they don't necessarily agree because it affects their lives in some way. And I think that's the biggest problem that the football clubs have got to think about. Me, without football, my missus is going to go up the wall. She seriously is going to go up the wall. She's going to go nuts, which means I'll have to really get heavily involved in Christmas with the kids and that. But
that makes 2 of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah. In all seriousness, I think any postponement's probably the right call. And hand on heart, I don't like saying it, but I think it is the right call because unfortunately, you've got to put people's safety first. And it sounds like to me that quite a few of the players, not just at our club but across the Premier League and across the Football League, aren't vaccinated. Haven't even had a single vaccination.
I saw today actually. I was seeing some statistics. The two, I think, Serie A were all in the 90%. The French league, the Spanish league, but only 60. Now, listen, I'm not trying to start a COVID vaccination, anti-vax. This is not what I'm on about. But there's only 68% from the Premier League, which to me, if everyone's trying to, well, not the right thing necessarily, but if they're all trying to lead by example, that's a huge deficit on what every other league has done.
I think the problem that the Premier League have gone with free will, haven't they? So it's up to the individual to decide if they want the vaccination. Look, there's 2 ways they could go about it. They could either can the season until January, which is what's being spoken about, or they'll probably have to go behind closed doors. Either way, we're not going to get any football, or fans aren't likely to get into the stadiums. So it's a tricky time, but let's be honest, we all saw it coming. For the rights and the wrongs of what governments have done right around the world, I think the sensible option would have been to maintain social distance and a mask wearing for the year. But that's just a personal opinion. I don't put that opinion on anyone else. I'm not forcing that opinion on anyone else. I just think you do what you can to, protect yourself. The problem is there are a lot of people who don't think COVID exists. There are a lot of people that don't really care about COVID measures. There are a lot of people that want to go out and do what they want to do. And you can't, I'm afraid, argue with any of their opinions because that's the beauty of being a human. You have those options and you have those choices to make. But I just feel that the Premier League have got a problem. And they need to deal with it because with the World Cup coming November next year, the best thing to do is probably halt the season now, because otherwise you're going to have a variety of games that are cancelled and postponed, which means that some teams will be 3 or 4 games adrift come the turn of the year. Some teams will be, 4 games ahead during the turn of the year. And it's going to be very difficult to balance that act. So I think they need to can it and then find a way, cancel the winter break, obviously, and then find a way of getting those games in.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points, well made, mate. Just to read out a couple of comments here. Brendan, All for United will have to stream a few more times a day during the day to keep Stu occupied. The problem is with that, mate, is like his missus, he would drive us up the wall as well. Andrew Wall, good to see you, buddy. If there are any more COVID outbreaks, then the Premier League clubs will want to have a short break and come back in 3 to 4 weeks' time to get it under control. Absolutely right. I think this is the thing, isn't it? This is a bigger problem. This all stems from a bigger problem. And yes, we're all avid football fans, but we need to think about this, obviously, logically, people's healths, people's lives, people's health, and ultimately, if we take, a bit like the government, if we take a bit more of a standpoint now, or lack of, in their retrospect, we can try and help and get the games obviously back on a lot quicker, and this is the thing, isn't it? Since December 2020, 183 professionals, athletes and coaches have suddenly collapsed. 108 of them died. I think that's a hell of a number. Certainly something that probably needs to be looked into. Whether it's COVID or anti-vax or vax related is a very different thing, but very difficult to discern. John Commode again, I do think there needs to be a break for a couple of weeks, but in that time we need Premier League to provide clear rules for how many players must be affected to get a game postponed and how to keep people safe. That's exactly right. Bainesy, great to have you on, buddy. Yeah, that's a really good point there by John. And this was something I had a conversation a couple of days ago. I'm not quite sure why they stopped the testing every day. They stopped that whole bubble thing. Do you know what I mean? And really, we've the whole country, really, I'm not saying we should be in lockdown all the time, but we should have been a lot more careful. The same with the Premier League. But what's your take on this?
I feel like it all needs to be a bit more proactive. I think it's too reactive at the moment with anything really, with the government, with the Premier League. But if we're just talking about the Premier League, players' health has to come first. Players, obviously not just players, coaches, the staff, even everyone at the club, their health has to come first. And we've seen a number of outbreaks at a number of Premier League clubs. So there's that fine balance of when does it get inappropriate and when does it get, okay, no, wait, we need to start really looking at this properly. I think the Premier League and the government need to come out and just stipulate, look, there has been an outbreak. And the Brentford manager, I forgot his name, Thomas Frank, he came out recently and there was reports of him saying in the presser that just have a 2-week break, just 2 weeks where there's no English football, break the chain, get everyone back at home for a few days, get the clubs, like get cleaners in at the club, at the training grounds to de-sterilise the whole place. And then you start again, whether that be behind closed doors, whether that be behind a limited capacity like we saw at the end of last season. That's for the Premier League to decide. But at the end of the day, it is a big concern. And this Omicron variant, or however you want to call it, it's spreading really quickly. And you just need to sort of have a clear head on it to get a grips of it and think logically and just think, okay, look, we can postpone it for two games and everyone then starts playing on Boxing Day or the 27th. And that way you miss the League Cup. I think it's the League Cup round and you miss one Premier League weekend, which will be this weekend. So I haven't done that. They've got a crisis meeting on Monday. And it's probably going to be that we'll suspend it till 2022. Or I think it was rumoured to the 7th to the 9th or something of January, something like that, which then in turn basically gives the whole Premier League, the whole football pyramid a 2-week break. And And like Stu said, you then catch up with that 2-week break in your winter break, where I think there's 15 days where there's no games. So
When is
yeah,
that actually? I forgot they were doing that this season.
is it end of Jan? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
sounds about right.
I can't remember. And because again, we've got the winter World Cup. That's moved now to November, so you've got a little bit of space at the end of May, maybe beginning of June to wrap up the season, and it still gives the players most of June/July to have an off season, and then obviously you start your pre-season tours and all that. So there needs to be I think there needs to be a bit of a more proactive approach rather than reactive. But we'll see on Monday. I truly believe that it's going to get binned for at least a few weeks, and then we'll see it again second week of January most probably.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you're probably right. A couple of weeks at the very least. And but obviously this is going to have a knock-on effect. Steph, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get around to you. These two love to waffle.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to have a knock-on effect, isn't it? Because, the Christmas period is so congested anyway. And if you have a couple of weeks off, you've then got even more games, more so within the January, February time. And then you've got to think about the European stages as well in March and what have you. And it's going to be so difficult. But I guess this is what the people at the top need to prioritise, and they should be able to work these things out. But what's your take on this as well?
Yeah, I think always the Christmas period is always my favorite time to watch football. So it's just a bit devastating, isn't it? That it's all kind of gone. So yeah, I think they should have kept like you were saying about the masks and social distancing. I think it all got kind of ahead of itself a bit. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just really upset basically because it's going to be weird not having football every weekend, or even like you said, the European stuff and everything. It's going to all be backed up, and it's just going to, yeah. I feel like you said everything. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
to
come
repeat
to you.
what
I'll
you're
come to you
saying.
first next time.
You've really stitched her up here, Mark, because
I've taken the wind out of her sails, and everyone's grabbed all the words. Sorry.
You basically stole everything I was going to say. You guys said. So,
just repeat it. That's fine.
I'll be a parrot. But yeah, I basically agree with everything you're saying. And yeah, I think, will it go behind closed doors even when it's back? I don't know. Will it come back and then we all won't get to go to games? And I don't know, hearing about the players not being vaccinated as well, that's a bit upsetting because my personal opinion is I think everyone should be vaccinated. So hearing that is a bit disappointing for players that you support and stuff. I don't know which particular players aren't vaccinated, but I don't think I want to know because I might have a different view on them as well. So
it's a difficult one, that is, isn't it? Really, it's very easy for us to stand here. Everyone's got a choice. That's what our democracy is about, and everyone can make their choices. And it is a tough one. And for me, it's I don't know any different. You hear obviously the pros, the cons, vaccinated, anti-vax.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. But fundamentally for me, and I know a few other people that are high risk, I just felt that we're in a position where we're not able to maybe cope with it. And therefore for me, I have to have the jab because that's really the only option for me. But anyway, we can go into that and probably piss a lot of people off another time. But yeah, no, very good points there. And yeah, I mean, this also goes into the fact that people have probably paid money from all over to see tomorrow's game. I know a couple of people that from Ireland actually that have paid for a couple of tickets, and you've got, it's not just the sort of sentimentality behind it, it's also the expenditure and everything else, and it really does put a dampener on it massively, which is such a shame. But anyway, we'll have to see over the next few weeks what happens. I think that, as you've all said, we need to take a couple of weeks out, have a bit of a pragmatic approach, deal with it, get things better, and then we'll see what happens, obviously, in the new year. But I think that's the right thing. And yeah, as someone alluded to in the comments, we'll have to do a 24/7 stream for Stu. We probably could do that. We'll have to work something out.
Thanks.
But he's an old man, so he probably won't be able to watch the whole thing. But there you go. Just to read out a couple more comments. Andrew, great to see you in the comments again, mate. If they do halt the season, it's where you fit those postponed games in. I don't know whether the Premier League season can be extended beyond May. I mean, what happened a couple of years ago, it's after Project Restart, it did finish in...
It went into late June.
Late June,
yeah.
Then
So
players went away, didn't they, for 2 weeks, and then they only had like 2 weeks for pre-season. And United didn't even have a pre-season. They had one game against Villa.
We had the Europa League tournament as well, didn't we?
That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
So the Premier League finished, and then you had the Europa Leagues after that, didn't you? Yeah.
And the Champions League after that, So nobody had any time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be done. It's not all doom and gloom. We'll have to wait and see. Tom here, I said it the other day, and it's only way this can play out. Winter break for a month, then the clubs can come back bubbled up, make a decision while it's... I can't read for Toffee tonight. It's a Friday night. It's been a long week.
You can't read anyway.
I can read all the... I'm a very good reader. Thank you very much, Stu. Be the last
Look,
time
all those books in the background, Stu. Of course he reads.
Bruh, exactly. I was trying to show off the intelligence, and you've just shat all over.
They're empty. Don't worry, we all know they're empty.
Yeah, empty cases. I've taken the books out. They're downstairs in the bin.
Cases, No pages, no leaves.
Yeah, no, exactly. Between the government and the Premier League, etc., they screwed it up by allowing people to have a choice in political democracy. The Omicron variant makes its own choice. Yeah, very good point. It's from the end of Jan to the first week of Feb, move it forward. So this is the winter break that we're getting. I totally forgot about that, actually. Good point there, Bainsy, when you brought it up. A few other comments. I'm not going to read yours, Bainsy, because you're here. Right, let's move on to the next one then. So big news that's come out in the last 24 hours. Ipswich obviously sacked their manager the other week. There were big talks about Kieran McKenna. I have to be very careful because I've been saying Ian McKellen all day. But Kieran McKenna, and I do know him very well. I just got my words mixed up today. But he's obviously taken the job. Now, Steph, I'll come to you first. There's been a lot of criticism, applauds for him over the last few years. Obviously, Mourinho brought him in initially. Obviously, came through, was promoted during his time there. Ollie comes in, and he was still part of the backroom staff there. But do you think that's a loss for Man United, or do you think that are you happy for him to have moved on, and do you think it's a good move for him?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think when Ollie left, I think everyone to do with that whole era should have gone. That's what I think, just a fresh start, and have Ralph bring in who he wants and just clear it all out, because it obviously was not working with Ollie. So yeah, I think it's a good move. Even when Carrick left, I'm happy for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. And yeah, I think it was turned, as everyone always says, it turned into a bit of a boys' club with all the ex-players, and then you feel a bit guilty about criticizing them, and it just got all a bit messy. So I think he made the right decision to go.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, about the clear out thing. Actually, you do tend to, when you see a new manager come in, you do tend to see a bit of a reshuffle. And Bainsy, I'll come to you next, mate. Are you in the same view as Steph? And do you find it a bit bizarre that we didn't have a complete clear out?
The thing is, it was hard to clear out, wasn't it? Because obviously Ollie got sacked, and didn't the club renew their contracts? I knew they renewed Phelan, Mike Phelan.
Poor planning by United again. I think they offered Phelan and so McKenna.
Exactly, and it's sort of, I know they came in with Jose Mourinho. I know Carrick did, and so did McKenna. But it's a bit, you sack Ollie, okay, fair enough. His backroom staff in McKenna and Carrick go as well. So who are you going to get in charge of quite possibly the most important Champions League game that we've had in many years? You can't put that on someone else. So I get the fact that they didn't go straight away. I do now get the fact that now Ralph has come in. You've seen McKenna go, you've seen Carrick go, which is fair enough. And there's most probably a mutual agreement there. I wish him nothing but the best, because everything you hear about McKenna and his coaching style, it's very attention to detail, very sit down. not overanalyze, but having one-to-one with players, making sure that they know what they're doing. This is what you do at this part of the pitch. This is what you do. I just feel like that maybe Man United overshadowed that a little bit too much. Maybe Ollie overshadowed him a little bit too much. I wish him all the best, and I hope he really proves a lot of people wrong at that Ipswich role. We said this about Wayne Rooney, who's doing an absolute fantastic job at Derby, and I hope that McKenna can do the same thing.
At Derby, he's doing a fabulous
exactly.
job.
All the off the field nuisance at that club and the absolute mess that they're in. Rooney is really sort of on the pitch, made sure that the performances haven't dropped, and if McKenna can somehow try and get that a run of form, a run of games, and really try and sort of cement his ideas into that squad nice and early, I'm sure Ipswich will be right up there. And that they have a great coach, and it's exactly the same with Carrick. I know that he said he wanted to spend time with family, but it's likely that he'll get into another job probably in a year's time, maybe 8 months' time. I
thought he was going to go in and say, but why would you want that? Why would you want that?
Look, yes, with they had to go because they were with Ollie, and when Ollie goes and Ralph and someone like Ralph comes in, Ralph is always going to bring in his own coaches. He brought in Chris Armas, I think. I might have butchered that name. And the guy, the ex-Leipzig guy, I forgot what his name was.
I can't remember. I'm not very good with names.
Is he a psychologist or something?
Isn't it a video? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
I can't remember his name. That's bad of me. Should have my research. But yeah, he was always going to bring two of his coaches in. Now it was only going to be fate that McKenna goes with Carrick. So let's see what happens with Phelan. He's probably going to be the next person now as well.
Yeah, I think, and this is no disrespect to anybody. I think Phelan would have been the first that I wanted to go. And the reason why I say that is because he does play very negative football. If you think about the Ferguson years during his last 4 or 5 where Phelan were in, the football was terrible. And listen, I know he brings a wealth of experience but I'm surprised that he wasn't the first to go. John makes a good point here. I wish McKenna all the best going forward. He's a young man, did well with the youth earlier on, perhaps became first team coach too soon, but clearly is intelligent and wish him all the best. Now, Stu, I'll come to you next, my man. It's very difficult, isn't it, for us looking on the outside in to judge exactly what these men do. And he was highly rated and sought after whilst he was with Tottenham, wasn't it, originally? Mourinho brings him in, promotes him, talks very highly of him. Ollie's done the same. So do you think it would be a miss for Manchester United going forward? It's very difficult, isn't it, to know what they bring?
Yeah, so that's the point I was going to make, actually, because he's in a collective. And people were going on about the coaching staff, etc., etc., etc. And of course, he falls into that. And he could have been the brightest coach among them. And when it comes to a vote of exactly what to do, he could have been outvoted by Solskjaer, Phelan, and Carrick and Pert. Who knows? None of us know that. For me, if I was him, I think I would have stayed put because I would have wanted to learn from the master, so to speak. And at 35 years old, as a coach, you would be a sponge. Now, you know my views on coaching. You know my views on player responsibility and application. And coaching is a very, very small part of football, as we know. Everybody thinks it's a huge part, but it's actually a small part. But I think as you quite rightly said, I think he was at Chelsea before he went to Spurs. So it's not as if he's been around the lower leagues. He's been around top flight clubs. And then you come into the golden goose, which is Man United. So I just think if I was him, I might have dug my heels in a bit and stayed on. I think out of all the coaches, he's the one we should have kept. I can understand his logic and I can understand his want to go and manage a football club. And, Ipswich has got a certain amount of kudos attached to it. But, at that age, it's a huge risk. So people were saying that he couldn't cut it as a first team coach at Old Trafford. Why is he going to cut it as a first team manager at Ipswich Town, where an experienced manager like Paul Cook couldn't? And Cookie's been around the block for years, absolutely years, as a player and as a manager. But having said that, a good coach and a successful person always backs themselves. So, credit where credit's due. He's backed himself and he's made a decision that he wants the top job. And I wish him all the very best. But I think if I was him and I got this opportunity to learn from Ranić, I think I probably would have taken that option over going to manage someone like Ipswich. But fair play to him, and I hope he does well.
Yeah, I hope he does well too. And you actually hit the nail on the head there, Stu. Perfectly put. I think he was one of our better coaches. As much criticism as he got, I can't see that all of these people can be wrong when talking about him so highly. But I do also agree in the fact that could this be a big, this is a make or break now, isn't it? A bit like with Wayne Rooney, like
Right,
Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
If you now take a first team role, which you're absolutely right, Paul Cook, obviously a very experienced man, couldn't do it too. So what makes you, unless you are that confident in your ability, and fair play to him, I just worry that it might have been too soon. And I think he's probably a good coach, and I do wish him all the best, but we will see how that obviously unfolds. Talking about another topic we got tonight, Newcastle have been in the headlines recently. I'm going to go off Man United for
You're going
bit.
down.
Do bear with me. I mean, let's hope they do get relegated. But so Newcastle, as you can imagine, have been linked with absolutely everybody, every man and their dog. And they've obviously talks about Anthony Martial potentially going. We will see. I'm surprised that he's not been given to at least January, and I think it came out that he wanted to, impress Ralph until January. So I'd be very surprised if this has any truth. Although his agent came out the other day and said, he's fed up and wants to leave. So we will have to see. But Stu, I know your thoughts on Martial, but I'm going to get you to regurgitate them one more time for me and let me know how you feel about that and whether that's a good move for him.
Is it a good move for him? No, I think it's player and agent posturing. If I'm being brutally honest, it's this time of year, isn't it? The transfer windows around. The agent comes and speaks out as they do, and he's just testing the water. Look, I was on Tactical Preview actually last night with James and Abdel, and we were really pushing for Martial to be a starter alongside Ronaldo in Ranić's 4-2-2-2 system. Now, don't forget, within that he plays, everybody thinks he plays 2 6s. It's actually 6 and an 8, but they're intertwined. He plays 2 10s and he plays 2 forwards. And because everyone's pushing higher up, I think Martial and Ronaldo are kind of the polar opposite as players. Whereas Rashford and Ronaldo are very, very similar, occupy the same spaces. I think Martial will come alive as a partner to Ronaldo. Now, we don't necessarily know why he's not been playing. There's rumours that he's got this niggling injury, or maybe he's just miserable and can't be asked. Nobody actually knows.
Who knows?
I think, and I think the problem and the frustration for all fans of the club is that there is a precocious talent in there, and when he's on his game, he's as good as anyone in the league. When he's not on his game, it's a real problem. He holds the ball up probably, okay, he's not as good as Cavani at doing that, but he holds the ball up brilliantly because he holds it all up on the side, so he's ready to turn immediately with it. So he's not an old-fashioned number 9. He's very, very quick, very, very skillful with the ball at his feet. So look, I've been on record saying that I think he's a lazy player. I think he's a languid player. I think his body language doesn't always shout Manchester United footballer to me. And there are times where I think he's been dead wood for us. There really has. In games, he's been dead wood. He's just been this anchor that's dragging the team down. But when you can get something out of him, when you can get a when he sparks to life, he's absolutely electric. He's probably one of the best finishers. Take Cavani and Ronaldo out of the equation at the club. Probably better than Greenwood, really. People would argue he's not. I think he is. He's got ice in his veins at the correct moment.
I agree.
You're one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and you need that type of player. So I like what Ranić said, that he said, look, he hasn't come to me, he hasn't come to the club. I think that's great. I think
he's done everything perfect so far, isn't he, Ragnick?
Yeah.
The way that he presents himself in interviews is just
very well
perfect.
spoken.
Very well.
It's like he's done this
very
before.
Articulate. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is
kind of why you'd wonder why McKenna would go to Ipswich. But anyway, that's another story, isn't it? We've just covered. But I think if I was Ranić, I know I'd imagine he's already spoken to him about his potential role. Look, if he went to Newcastle, I think it'd be great. I think they'd love him up there. I think wherever he went, though, what you would see is a Martial of when he was 18, when he came to the club and popped his first goal in against.
Because he would be the main man.
Because he would be the main man up there, and he would be loved. When you've got somebody like Ronaldo in your team, it's Ronaldo, and with up at Newcastle, I think it would be Martial, and I think he would be loved up there. I think he would fit up there. But if I was Martial, I'd be wanting assurances on who's going to come in the summer, whether Eddie Howe's going to stay there. Chances are they're going to get relegated anyway, Newcastle. So I think they're going to have to completely look at their options in January. And they'll have to relook at their options in the summer, depending where they are. So if I was Martial, I'd stick the 6 months under Ranić and make a decision in the summer. I don't necessarily think he needs to move in January to cement his World Cup place, because I don't necessarily think he's been in and out, hasn't he, of the French side for a while, and he hasn't done enough to get into a World Cup squad, in my opinion, anyway. So I don't think moving in January for his World Cup aspirations is key to him. I just think he needs to actually grow up as well. He needs to mature as a person, as a man, as well as a footballer.
He speaks a lot of sense, our Stu, doesn't he?
I try.
That's why we get him on. Very well put there, matey. I just want to read a couple of comments out. John here, I think it would be interesting to see what happens with Martial. Cavani could be going to Barca. If he goes, can we afford to let another forward go in January? Probably not. Will be interesting to see. I think you're absolutely right, Stu. I think Martial, I give him a lot of criticism. I have done, but I think
we both have.
Everyone. Yeah, we have, and I
yeah.
think we probably wind each other up about it, to be honest, yeah. But I think there obviously everybody has their line, and I think that after post lockdown, you couldn't fault the guy. He was fantastic for a number of years, but since
NHS Martial, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been
NHS
terrible.
Martial. Yeah,
and I just don't understand. On his day, he's one of the best dribblers in the world. Yeah. That's my opinion.
When he's in the mood. When he's in the mood. Yeah.
On his day, he's one of the best link-up forwards I've seen. Okay? But unfortunately, we haven't seen that enough more recently. Steph, I'll come to you next. Sorry about that. Yeah, Martial, I mean, is it time for him to go? And what are your overall thoughts on him as a player?
Yeah, I think I agree with Stu of how he always seems miserable when he comes on, and you're just like, where's the passion? You're playing for Man United, like, you're make an effort. It's with a lot of the players as well, even Rashford the past couple of games as well, he's really been not at his best at all.
Terrible.
I think Greenwood should be ahead of him all the time, I think. And then hearing Cavani could be going, that's absolutely heartbreaking. I think he's amazing. I hope he doesn't go. But again, it's that thing of, if he goes to Barcelona, he'll be the star there. So instead of competing with Ronaldo, I get it, where you want to be the savior and the one guy. But yeah, Martial, I don't know. I do like him, but if he made more of an effort, I would like him to stay. But if not, then yeah, I think he should go.
Yeah, I think a lot of the general consensus would agree with you. Cavani is a sexy bastard, and it would be a shame for him to disappear. Love looking at his face week in, week out, and we haven't seen enough of him this season.
I prefer his movement in the box, but that's just me. Hey.
Fox in the box, exactly.
Me and Bones are the same one, aren't we, pal?
Yeah, we are.
Andrew with this point here, agree with everything Stu was saying, of course. We know Martial's got the talent, but he doesn't show it enough. When he is on form, he's unstoppable, absolutely. But when he is out of form, he looks disinterested. And I think we've spoken about this before, but I'm going to bring it up again. I personally feel, and I think you were absolutely spot on, Stu, I think he would be perfect with Ronaldo. But I don't think he wants to be that second fiddle to him. And I think we've seen that on a number of occasions. Ibrahimovic, Rashford to a certain extent, Sanchez. Who else did we have?
Rooney at a point.
Yeah.
Rooney at a point. But
he's always gone off the boil. And I'm not saying it's an attitude problem. I think he is a little bit... He's quite a sort of introvert, quiet character. But I think he is quite egotistical. And I think because of that, he struggles when someone big comes in. But I think you're absolutely spot on, Stu. He would be perfect with Ronaldo. Bainesy, your thoughts on this one?
You know what? I've got a completely different opinion. I don't think we should sell him. I think we should keep him. I think we should keep to his guns. I think he deserves another chance.
I'm tweeting this one. This is going to get him a lot of attention.
Yeah. Look. I love. You know, when you go on Twitter and you see these Martial stands and they're like, "Oh, Martial this, Martial." I'm not one of them. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not one of them. But I love the guy. He can turn. He can dribble. He can get at you. He's strong. He's got a great first touch. He can link up play. He can head the ball. He can do everything. And I agree with everything that you guys have said with, is there an attitude problem? Is there something in his game where if he's not the main man, you don't get the best out of him? But I'm a thorough believer in the last 5 years, and this is including Oli and Mourinho, if you're the number 9, you play the graveyard shift. And what I mean by that is there's not enough service going into the number 9. Now we can all agree here that Martial, you play into his feet, get him turning and he goes, or you play it in front of him, get him running at full speed and he goes. How often in a game do we do that with our number 9? Now we're seeing a huge surge in shots, but that's because we've got Ronaldo who gets the ball, looks up and goes, you know what, I'm going to twat it from 30 yards away. Now,
not necessarily being clinical though, have they?
Yeah, exactly. And this is my point. And look, with Martial, I feel like we've got a player here who can do everything as a number 9. And it does really annoy me when he's got a face of a slapped ass, and it's just like, you've got everything there. You've got the players. You've got players that want to play with you. You've got Bruno, Sancho's there. Even his link up in 2019-20, where he scored 23 goals as the number 9. He was absolutely unreal with Rashford. The amount of times them two linked up and scored goals. He can certainly do it. And we've seen it. He can do it. You question the consistency, which is absolutely fair. And the last sort of year, just after sort of post the project restart, as they called it, he hasn't been the same player. I don't know if that's Cavani coming in and now he was the number 9 and the main man. And you saw a different kind of number 9 with Cavani. You saw a lot of movement. He was erratic. He was perfect in the fox in the box. He would get around, he would press, he wouldn't stop running. But with Martial, is a bit of more of a logical player where he was conserve energy and use it at the right times. And so they are two different number 9s. But for me, we need to keep Martial, because if Cavani is going, and again, I absolutely love Cavani and what he's done when he's fit and he's playing, and that's a big if he is fit and if he is playing, we see huge gulf in class and the two different kind of players the 3 different kind of players when you see Rashford, Cavani and Martial. Now, let's say if Cavani does go, and let's say Martial goes, well, Ronaldo's 38 next year. And so are you getting him to lead the line? I know he's this animal. He's a different kind of player, but he's not getting younger, is he? So you can't let 2 strikers go. And I doubt we're getting Haaland, by the way. Let's just put that out there. We're not going to get him. So are we then going to let Cavani go, an aging Ronaldo who will have to look after, and Martial go? I don't think that's a good idea. And there's not many strikers like Cavani or Martial that can come in, unless you're willing to spend 150 million on Erling Haaland, and he's probably going to go City anyway. So look, he needs to stay. For me, he needs to stay. He needs to sort out this persona that he's got. Maybe that's just him. But we had Berbatov, who was absolutely fantastic, and he would score these great goals, and he was so
used to
silky.
bitch and moan about Berbatov.
Yeah, we used to bitch and
all
moan
the
about him,
time.
but we believed him because we had a system around Berbatov that suited him. You had runners around him that did everything for him, and you're starting to see that now with Ronaldo, where Ronaldo doesn't press, but as long as you have the workhorse around Ronaldo and a bit of sort of football IQ in Bruno or Sancho. I wouldn't say Rashford because he lives offside and he runs into a brick wall most of the times. But what I'm trying to say is when you have workers around players that don't seem to work, they end up producing for you. And he can do it. He scored 23 goals in the 1920 season. I'm going to keep saying that because he did score 23 goals, and that's a fact.
He did.
So
in 4 games more than Rashford, I think it was.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of fans and out there saying, look, get rid of him. We can get someone in. But who is that someone? Unless someone can point out to me right now that, we're going to go get that person. And not Erling Haaland, by the way, because I don't see that we're going to get him.
There's not another a very quick point on Haaland. I did read something the other day that the FA are looking to bring something in 10%. Which would essentially, stop the agents from getting over a certain amount, which I bet he read that and thought, fucking hell, I'm fucked. But we don't really want to deal with another client of his, honestly, do we?
Right,
carry on. Sorry,
of course
mate.
not. No. I mean, again, look, I don't think there's another player like Martial or Cavani that we can bring in, and of course, Ronaldo is one of a kind, so you're never going to find him again.
See, the problem with I was going to say, Bainesy, I think you're right. The problem with Martial is he's not an old school centre forward.
No.
And he won't run the graveyard like you just said. That's such a brilliant term. That is, by the way, I love that term, the graveyard shift. Not many people.
Careful, he'll nick that. He'll coin that.
Well, no, a lot of the younger
you can take it. It's fine.
They won't even know what the graveyard shift is. They won't have a clue what you're talking about. Won't have a clue what you're talking about. The problem with Martial in today's football, he's a hybrid centre forward. So he's not a true centre forward. He's not a Cavani.
He's not a Cavani.
No, whereas Cavani...
Stu, just very quickly, what about this comment here? Martial had 6 years to prove his worth.
Well, I think Baines and Steph both touched on that. Actually, if I'm being honest, they've already spoken about his ability to absolutely be scintillating, rip the pitch up, and he's shown, parts of that throughout the period that he's been with us. So they're both absolutely spot on. I just don't think he knows where his best position in the forward line is. That's why I think he's a hybrid centre forward. He can hold the ball up, but he's not got the instincts of Cavani. What Martial needs to do to really up his game, he needs to drop deep, get the ball and run with it. But then that doesn't make him a true number 9, because when he does run with it, he pops it off to a Sancho, he pops it off to a Greenwood, whoever. He's not going to steam into the box and get a diving header in like Cavani would do. So there's your problem you've got with Martial. Martial has the ability to play left, centre, right. He's got the ability to do that. He's actually got the ability to play a very basic number 10 position. But you know as well as I do, Bainesy, because you've heard me speak about it all the time. A true number 9 lives in 9 yards, lives within the 9-yard penalty spot area. That's his home. That's where he thrives. To be fair though, he doesn't get in those positions often enough. That's what I mean. That's why I think he's more a hybrid one. And that's where I agree with you, see. He's more at home actually outside the 18-yard box Martial is. He won't get you the tap-ins enough. He definitely won't get you a header. But he'll look and he'll stick you a volley in from the 18-yard box. He'll strike it from the 12-yard line. He'll link up the play. He'll drop deep, grab the ball, turn, play it on again. He does that.
It's so funny, isn't it? Because for many years where we didn't have a true number 9, we were banking on Martial and Rashford and almost comparing them to the number 9 and thinking this is what number 9 is. And then very quickly you forget about what a number 9 is.
Yeah.
And then someone like Ibrahimovic or Cavani, they come in and show you exactly what it is. But then you forget about all the other frontline positions and what each player's bringing. And we go on.
Here's the thing, and this is something again that people forget. Andy Cole and Dwight York weren't your typical number 9s. They weren't your typical centre forwards, but they linked up absolutely sublimely. They were telepathic and
knew each other.
Yeah. That's right. Somebody floats into the box, one will stay out the box. That's how it used to work. It used to work brilliantly for them. And I think Ronaldo and Martial could operate a very, very similar system by one in, one out, one in, one out. They could both strike a ball, etc. But they forget about when you actually really look through our history. Ruud van Nistelrooy was probably, even Berbatov I didn't see as a number 9. I saw Berbatov as a more creative player, and that's why people used to think he was languid and that. So I think Ruud, who I think apart from Cavani in an Old Trafford jersey, has been the best exponent of a number 9 you'll ever see. I mean, Van Nistelrooy was just brilliant. I used to love Ruud because a good number 9 should go off the pitch, and if he hasn't scored, leave him alone because he'll be absolutely ripping the dressing room to bits. That's the problem with a good number 9, a good solid number 9. I'm here to score the fucking goals. If you know, that's my fucking job. Period. Yeah. That's it. And Martial, bless him, doesn't have that instinct. Cavani does, Ronaldo does, but Martial doesn't. So you're both right, and that's why I think he's more of a hybrid, Bainsy. Than that. But it's interesting, isn't it?
Just quickly, I saw Brendan mention in the comments about his time at the club, and he's been 6 years. And is he 25 or 24? I can't remember his age, but he's in a 24, 25. If you look at players right now, Salah got his move when he was 27. You had Bruno got his move when he was 26. You had Pogba get his move when he was 27. So a lot of players got their big move at 26, 27, going into their prime years. Now, if Martial goes out, and now I don't think he's going to go Newcastle because he's only going there for one thing, which is the money, which is exactly what Kieran Trippier is going there for. So I feel like he will go to another club, maybe abroad somewhere to the other bigger clubs, but he's at that age now where he can get his move and start showing everyone, okay, this is what I've been working on. Now, I don't know. I don't want to dive into it too much because I've battled on for ages, but let's see what happens.
I'm gonna bring Steph in very quickly.
This has been quiet there, hasn't
it's hard to get a word.
It's not Steph's fault. It's you two can't get a word in edgeways. You bastards.
I'm just agreeing. I actually agree with each of you. It's like if you look at it in a different way. If Cavani does go, I think Martial should stay. I agree with that because, like you said, then I think
so we've currently got Martial, Greenwood, Ronaldo, Rashford, Sancho,
Cavani,
Alanga,
and so Christ,
sorry,
carry on.
Are we really going to? Sorry, go on, keep going.
No, I was just going to say again. I think it's his attitude. I just think he needs to either fight for it or just go. Like that's where I stand on it. So that's all I have to say.
No, but you're right. You see, every time you pull on that shirt, you should be fighting 100%.
Yeah. It's very difficult to. I think attitude is such an easy word to use around a club when you don't see someone performing, but it's very difficult to steer clear of that word with him, isn't it? And it's a real shame. Right, I'm going to do a quick fire round very quickly, and Steph, I'm going to start with you first.
Start with Steph, yeah.
Martial, keep or sell, and a reason why, please.
Well, now my opinion, I'm confused now because I'm after going back on what I originally said. I'm gonna say, oh no, this is hard. This is harder than I thought it would be. Okay, I'm gonna say keep because I do really like him. I think he's an amazing player when he wants to be, and I do believe in him, and I hope he changes his attitude and enjoys playing for Man United again. So yeah, keep.
I'd love to see that too. Bainsy.
I'm going to say sell him No, I'm joking. No, keep
Everyone's
keep
going
Like,
back.
wait, what?
Everyone flip-flop FC
No,
tonight, isn't it, you lot?
Obviously, keep him. The sole reason is because if Cavani does go and he's always injured, the guy's a diva, so he's always injured. He's never going to play. And obviously, an aging Ronaldo, Rashford, as we all know, Rashford can't play the nine alone. So yeah, keep him. Give him a couple more seasons. Give him Ralph. Just give him time with Ralph. Let's see what happens. That's my 2 pence.
Stuart, and try and keep it within 30 seconds, please, bro.
I would keep him based on my hope that he turns up with Ronaldo as our starting two.
Bloody hell. Did everyone see that? Christ almighty.
I've switched them both.
You know
that?
what? I
should be a lawyer.
You actually should.
It's a difficult one for me because I've been saying for a long time now that he's very much on the ropes. Probably should leave. I am frustrated with him. Brendan made a good point about the 6 years, but I just feel this could be his time again. And I feel that if he's given a little bit more time with Ralph, he could turn into what we've seen from him before. We know it's there.
Yep.
And
You're
it's
right.
very difficult, very difficult. And to be honest, with that, I don't think I could answer it, to be honest. You know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You can't sit on the
all
fence.
Right,
There's absolutely no
I
chance.
would say, I'm going to go with my original and I'm going to say sell him because I want the best for him. I know there's a great player in there.
How
I
much?
think that if he
Before
goes
you
to
say
someone
that,
else,
How much do you sell him?
well, if it's Newcastle, you drag your heels until you get at least 60.
90 million.
60 mil.
Just before you do say that, Mark, you've got to consider that we will lose Lingard to Newcastle in January, pretty much. I would
Newcastle.
say. Yeah, I'd say Lingard again, Newcastle or West Ham. One or two.
To be honest, whoever goes Newcastle though, that's a tough.
I know, man. I was talking about this today actually. If you're in Aubameyang's position, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you go to Newcastle, you're going to get relegated, and if you stay at Arsenal, you might get relegated. So
Aubameyang will go.
Just to finalise, guys. I just want to say,
love that, wouldn't they?
Just to finalise, I just want to say thank you very much for everybody in the comments tonight. Really good debates going on.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
So,
and thanks for tuning in. Great to see some new faces. Great to see the ones we see all the time. It's lovely having you back. And thanks very much, guys, for coming on. Really great. I'm just going to ask before we finish, Steph and her view on Jesse Lingard and where she sees him in the team and whether she feels he's going to go.
I think he should go, and I think he will go. I think he was doing so well at West Ham. I think coming back, he was just trying to maybe one last hurrah, like try a bit, but I just don't think he's good enough. And I know it's a bit harsh on him, but because I do like him.
I think he's played really well since coming on this last year. My viewpoint on him's changed massively, I feel. Since coming back, since having that rejuvenation at West Ham and coming back for this season, I think he's been excellent whenever he's come on, really.
Yeah, he has been good, but I feel like even just for him, I feel like he can be he can be the star at I think a smaller club. I think he'll be even better, and he'll like at West Ham. I thought he was incredible, and then I still find myself noticing little things, and I'm just like, I just don't think. I think for him, it would be best for him if he went, but. That's my opinion. Sorry.
No, excellent stuff.
Don't say sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, don't say sorry.
No,
listen, I think the majority. I feel the same. I do. I feel the same. It's just been so good to see that lease of life in this season, and I just you can't hate Jesse. He's been there since the beginning. Yeah. He was there under Fergie. Fergie loaned him out to Birmingham. He was fantastic. And you just can't help but love him, and you know he went through a very difficult period, and it really hit me, to be honest, because you just want the best, and you just don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and since that's come out, since he's been rejuvenated, he's been the player that we know that he can be, and that to me means everything. I'm so pleased for him, but I think it's probably best with the array of talent that we've got at the moment. Yeah. Probably best that he moves on. Listen, thank you so much for coming on site, all of you. You've been absolutely fabulous. Thank you again. As I said in the comments, you've been fantastic too. You'll see more of Steph. She'll be on hopefully on some more shows in the coming future. But we really thank you for coming on tonight. Great stuff and great insight on all the topics tonight. And yeah, for usual for Stu and Basie, great to see you. Hope I don't see you both too soon. And yeah, listen, we've got. I think we're going to be taking a bit of a break over the Christmas period. I think. Don't quote me on that. Just because if there's no games, we may not be doing so much. Obviously, everyone deserves a bit of a Christmas period. But we have got a few shows coming up. We've got Devil's Advocate, which is moving from Keen's channel over to here tomorrow night, which yourself, Stu, you're on.
Yeah, I thought it was Sunday, wasn't it? Or was it tomorrow?
No, fucking no. I think it's Saturday. Sorry, Sunday. A Sunday night, not tomorrow night. I'm getting all excited and getting ahead of myself. But no, it's Sunday night at what time?
8:30, isn't it?
Fucking hell, I ain't done my research.
Bloody hell, Mark.
Fucking hell. I told you it's been a tough week, bro. It's been a tough week. Anyway, listen. Yeah, great to have you all on. Fantastic again, and we'll see you on Sunday night. See you then.